What's going on, y'all? My name is John Ting. I practice immigration law in the United States, helping you to solve your immigration problem and maybe prevent that freaking problem from happening in the first place. All right, so welcome to the show. Again, my name is John Ting. I practice immigration law. If you're interested in getting in contact with us, the best way to do that is go to the profile link or go to the profile. There is a link. And yeah, that's the best way, of course. And if you are interested in our main website, it is greencardguys.com. Happy to serve you, happy to help you out, point you in the right direction if needed. And I get it. Not everyone's budget is there to hire an attorney, but you should definitely consider it because if you're going to hire a notary or a notario, someone in a community, your auntie or uncle, it's probably better just hire a lawyer. Okay. I think other attorneys can agree with me on that one. Um, all right. So today's topic, we usually go into a topic for 5-10 minutes, then happy to answer your questions. But in the meantime, if you do have a question, you think about it, go ahead and post it in your respective platform. Alrighty. Try to make sure my phones don't drop here. All right. Okay, sounds good. Immigration ESQ down there on Instagram. Definitely send me a DM if you don't mind. And sorry for the automated message if you get one. Alrighty. So USCIS application process exposed. Okay, that is today's topic. All right. So exposed in the sense that on what they do to people. Okay. Let me start off with this. People get denied, and some people might think, oh, it's easy peasy. Easy peasy. It's what do you call it? A walk in the park, a piece of cake. The forms are easy. Hell yeah, they're easy. The form. I mean, but even then, some people need some help. I get it. We're here to help you. But it's not just about the forms, y'all. Some people apply for a certain benefit and you may not have been eligible in the first place. Imagine how much money you could have saved. Now, some people still do hire a lawyer and they get the bad advice. So I kind of do. I know some lawyers take a little bit of offense, like, hey, you talk to another, um, take offense and they say like, oh, you talk to another lawyer. Like, I'm cool with that. This is like going in for surgery in some respects. If I can make some kind of analogy here, is that this is your legal status. This is your ability to get legal status. And if you apply for something and you did something wrong, and no, I'm not trying to say like you put one letter is wrong, and it could have been a keyboard type mistake. I'm talking about like you check mark something that should not have been check marked, or you did not check mark something like if you were married or you're married to someone, you didn't check mark that. You really, really gotta be careful, okay, folks. All right. So some people think or may have received bad advice on it. You really need to talk to an attorney before you apply for something. And yes, attorneys do not like to tell you what to do on a certain form unless you hire them. So just to be upfront, because some people get that mistake. All right. And I'm sure other attorneys can agree with me on that. So USCIS does deny people, even when you think it's a walk in the park. Okay. What we rely on as attorneys, at least my office, is the law. We rely on the law. One example is relying on the USCIS policy manual. Essentially, the policy manual is like the training manual for the USCIS officers. So, of course, we would use the same thing. Why wouldn't we? Right? So, it sets out the tone in terms of the requirements, what makes you eligible, what makes you not eligible for something. So I hate to say, folks, but USCIS actually gives you a pretty decent idea, well, pretty clear idea on when people cannot apply. But they can't stop you from unchecking, not check mark something on the form, right? USCIS does not serve as your attorney, as your advocate. They're not there to help you. They're there to review the application and then take your word for it. Whatever you check mark or wrote in there, your waiver letter, whatnot for hardship, they take that as the truth to some extent. Okay. Now I will shit you not. Okay. Excuse my French. But if you are familiar with like, criminal trials because you watch Netflix or some kind of other show, I'm not sponsored, but that would be nice. Okay. They talk about the standard of law. In criminal law, that's called beyond a reasonable doubt. That's the highest freaking level. All right. In terms of a standard. In immigration, when you file an application, lawyers call it affirmative application. I'm not talking about court right now, anything immigration court. I'm talking about USCIS applications. Okay. That standard, the initial one, is preponderance of evidence. That is the lowest standard. The lowest standard. All right. What does that mean? Preponderance of evidence means that you have to have, essentially, if I can summarize, just enough evidence to show that you're, for example, what do you call, married to that person, that you entered into a bona fide marriage. Doesn't say anything that you have to love them. Like, how much love can you show on paperwork, right? In that sense, they don't want your naughty pictures in the immigration application. Okay, I've heard of other attorneys receive that from the clients. That's not necessary. Okay, so I'm not trying to give you a hard time, but I'm just saying, because if you are considering to hire an attorney or to do it yourself and you get denied, you can't, you really, because some people hire an attorney and then the attorney gives you a checklist, and then some people don't give most of the things on a checklist and then get denied. Well, go figure, right? So you really need to listen to your attorneys if you have one, but you also want to question them. I know it sounds weird that I would say that. You need to question your attorneys. I'm in several Facebook groups with attorneys. Of course, I'm not going to share the names, but one of them said that they don't want questions from y'all. I'm like, that's weird. Isn't that what you pay us for? To answer your questions? We invite you to ask questions. Okay. We have a free guide that shares information on about that, about the case, what you want to apply for. Because if you're not eligible in the first place, we do not offer services. Okay. By the way, folks, you don't have to copy and paste your questions or comment or your sharing experience. I'll definitely get into it. I just go into a topic first for 5-10 minutes, then I'll definitely answer your questions. So stay tuned. Okay. Stay on the channel if you don't mind. But preponderance of evidence is the lowest standard. Again, not trying to give you a hard time, but if you are going to file your application or you're in a situation maybe soon that you could get a request for evidence or notice of intent to deny, I'll explain that more in a second. The preponderance of evidence is to prove that something is more likely than not. Okay. So if it's more likely that you're married, bona fide marriage, entered in good faith, and not for immigration purposes, green card, essentially, then they're going to approve you, right? But a lot of y'all probably don't know the standard. A lot of attorneys don't know that standard, right? So I'm always happy to have attorneys are welcome to the show as well, because I love to give back in that way. At the end of the day, it's for your legal status. There's plenty of us immigration attorneys. You just need to find the right one to help you. And I know, I get it. It's difficult to find the right one. And that's why I share information here, to make it easier for you to know certain questions to ask. I'm not saying that you should ask your attorney or someone in a strategy session, like, what is preponderance of evidence? I mean, I don't know if you want to go that far, but it is important for you to know the standard, because it shouldn't take much, hypothetically, in terms of evidence. We still require significant amount of documents, but at the end of the day, okay, the immigration process is exposed in the sense that for my show, I want to explain to you, the USCIS denies a lot of people. It may not, percentage-wise, I don't know the percentage, but we do get a lot of inquiries. We do receive a lot of calls about people saying they've been denied. They thought they should have been approved. And then we read the denial letter or the RFE or knowing. We look at it and say, something's fishy here. Wish you had a little bit better, or not a little bit better, but the best representation possible for you, right? And sometimes that doesn't happen. Okay. One example of this situation about immigration process exposed is that you the USCIS will not tell you that they're not your lawyer, right? That should be obvious, but you might think that, oh, well, on the application it says I'm eligible. It's not about the application. You have to do the research before you file the application. Okay, the application is not a step-by-step kind of thing that's going to tell you, oh, like what is that website that some people have, like Typeform? It goes like conditional logic. That is not the immigration application. It's not immigration application is not going to tell you that you're eligible. You have to know that in advance. Okay. So that's one example. The second example is that when people go to the interview themselves without an attorney, again, you might think on paper you're eligible, but when you have an interview, now I'm not trying to create any kind of fear mongering, but you just have to know the real life experience. Some people get through and they're eligible, yes, and they get approved. But some people are eligible on paper, but they get trumped. That's not the right word I want to use. And it's more tricked in a sense, okay? And not to say the USCIS officer is trying to be an asshole or anything like that, but they may give you a hard time. And if you answer a question a little bit differently than the first time they asked you the very similar question, they're going to think you're lying off of one question. And you might think, well, damn, that question wasn't even that important or not relevant to the situation. They're going to use that against you. So some of y'all again might think like, oh no, biggie, interviews are fine. I had an attorney to file the application. I don't need one. Okay. Look, I mean, if anything, it's really, really big components of services. Of course, I'm an attorney, so I'm a little biased, right? So you need an attorney. I think you really do need an attorney. When you file it, you take your own risk if you don't want that one, but also when you have an interview, right? Some clients may not want to pay for travel fee. I get it. That's why for one of our attorneys to go to an interview, but that's why we connect with a network of immigration attorneys so you can reduce the cost in that sense. Because at the interview, it could be like the wild, wild west. Okay. I've heard some horrible stories. And I'm not saying like a physical fight. I'm talking about your status application getting denied. All right. So you don't want that situation to happen to you. Other situation, a little off on topic, but in terms of process exposed, if you're going to a situation you're thinking about, well, damn, my case been going on for too long. Like it's been more than 12 months. I'm not talking about the work permit. I know like y'all waiting for the work permit. I'm talking about the green card right now, okay? Resident status. You're waiting for way over 12 months. Maybe some of y'all have been 24 months. That's way too long. And then we look at it, and we got an recent inquiry about this the other day is that someone has a criminal record, the sponsor. The only time that should matter is for fiance visa, okay? When it's related to child abuse. But even so, when there's a criminal record, it might move the petition off track and move it to a different pathway in a sense that internal workflow for USCIS, and that will create a delay unintentionally. Okay, another scenario that will create a delay is when someone has already been order removed. You order removed, and then when anytime there's order removal or removal proceeding that's active, still ongoing, the case gets off track, unfortunately. The petition gets moved to the field office, and petitions don't need to go to the field office, okay? When it does go to the field office, it's because they may want to have an interview, even when you don't apply for the 485. So, of course, these are not information that you would find on Google or Bing or whatever. By the way, I've heard that some people don't use Google as much anymore, maybe something else. I'll be interested to get some feedback from y'all. And so that delays the case. So we're filing a lawsuit on that, by the way, for example, because someone has an order removal and it's been taking way too long. It doesn't need to be at the petition at the field office. There's no reason to do that. And when you have the field office, Depending on your location, it might say 36 months or something, but when it's on the service center, it doesn't take as long. So hopefully that gives you a bit of insight without sharing my screen. All right, now I'm going to answer some questions. On to Cesar on YouTube first. What's going on, Cesar? You want to know if LPR has a right to bear arms in the same way U.S. citizens do? Ooh, that's a constitutional question. I should be versed since I'm a citizen, but I'll have to look up the Second Amendment. Let me see if I can get back to you on that one. I don't think there's a difference, but it may be restricted a bit more by your state. I know California in general um, is a bit more restrictive. I know New York City is a bit more restrictive, but the Second Amendment in general doesn't say. Second Amendment doesn't say that much. Okay, it'd be nice to have a little bit more information there on the Second Amendment, clearly, because there's a lot of debate about Second Amendment, but it doesn't say specifically who has the what status when it says people, the right of the people. Okay, but thanks for the question. Okay, Cecilia, your question is, sorry, I got a lot of screens here, so I might looking like I'm off screen here. If someone had done their fingerprint and medical in November 23, how long will it take for work permit green card? So thanks for sharing about November 2023, but it's more about, like, if you consider filing a lawsuit, it's more about when you actually filed your case to begin with. So if it was, for example, 2022 and you filed it then, yeah, it's ready for a lawsuit. But um, if it's any time in November in 2023 and right now it's April, I'd wait about 18 months for a lawsuit on adjustment of status. Okay, there's no expected black and white time period on that, unfortunately, after you send medical. Martina on TikTok, let's see. Okay, Martina asked if you have a lawyer now, but can you use someone else to help you with your waiver? I mean, we're happy to help, but yes, in general, uh, we don't like to step on other attorneys' toes. But at the end of the day, you're the client; it is your decision. Um, yeah, if you don't like their customer service, that's a pretty good indication. They may be like a great law firm, an attorney, right? They do good work in that sense, but they're not good at letting you know updates. Then I would say that's not a good law firm in that sense, right? Because y'all pay money for an attorney. You need to get. It's not just about the case legal status only. That's certainly important. The outcomes, right? The result, but also during the process, did you get what you pay for in terms of supporting you? We don't do it for. It depends on the stage of the case, but we always, at least in the past 6 months at least, we update for more or less. We provide status updates every month. Some people on my team say they want to charge extra for it. Currently, we don't, but we provide updates even when there is no update, there is no change in the status. You know what I mean? So, but we still provide that because when you have to email us, like asking for the update, I feel bad in terms of customer service and being reactive. We want to let people know in advance. Okay, let's see. Next question here. You want to I see your follow-up comment by Martina. You want to expedite your waiver? I wish that was the case, but they don't currently. There is expedite request in general. That's typically for the I-130, 765, and 131, but I haven't seen that for the I-601. Have you already filed your waiver? If you're, I think earlier you sounded like you were still at the petition stage. Alrighty, how y'all doing? If you're just now joining, welcome. My name is John Ting. I practice immigration law in the United States, helping you solve your immigration problem and maybe prevent that problem from happening in the first place. All right, folks. So if you're interested to contact us for a meeting, a strategy session, we do offer it for no cost to meet with an attorney, one of our premier attorneys. Okay, but we do have a reservation fee. Consider like if you're going to a hotel, we have a hold. Okay. So it's really to prevent people from not showing up. There's been a couple bad apples, I hate to say. Maybe they got pulled into work. I get it, but you really got to pay attention to your schedule, okay? Because an attorney, any law firm has limited time. We don't have it wide open in terms of like all day, just because we got to get the work done. We got to review your case. We got to file it. We got to respond to RFE, things like that. Go to court. So we don't have unlimited time. I don't know. Ever since pandemic, like people think in any industry that like people, the professional, whoever, vendor has so much time on their hands. We have limited time. So please understand about the. Ooh, I said it out loud earlier. I'm not supposed to say that. This amount as a reservation to hold. If you show up, we refund it, but you have to ask, okay? Because we have to assign it to our billing team. Our billing team is not anyway. But to actually schedule it, go to our profile page, click above. You're on TikTok, Instagram. I think it's up there as well. Click on that. It'll take right under my picture in a circle is a link. Okay, click on that link. It's gonna you answer a few questions. I think it's like around 5, not too many. You answer that, then after you click submit, then that's going to take you to that payment page for this amount. Remember, it's just like a hold fee, okay? Let's see here. And to be always transparent, the first meeting you have is not with an attorney. It's one of our CARES team members, CARES team specialists. I train them literally every day. You might not like what they say. Sometimes we have to give the bad news right off the bat. Because you should sometimes if my team knows it, then you don't have to wait to talk to an attorney to get the bad news if you're not eligible, right? Sometimes that happens. But yeah, anyway, then you meet with them and they'll pre-qualify you to meet with one of our attorneys at no extra cost. Okay. Let's see. Let me try to scroll all the way back. Well, I gotta scroll down to answer some questions from TikTok. Well, thank you so much for your questions. There's quite a bit here. BB Motivations on TikTok. Thanks for your question. Can you travel back and forth if you have I-130 under review? I need more information. My question to you is, did you apply for the 131? Okay. Did you file only the I-130? Because if you file I-130 only and you're not eligible for the adjustment of status quite yet, then you cannot apply for the 131. So, there's like almost like this is like a branch tree, I guess, like conditional logic situation. There's a lot of different scenarios. We need to know information. So you're welcome to answer a few questions and schedule a meeting. Okay. So we can understand more, or just send us a DM. But it's a bit slower when you send a DM, actually. So let's see here. So it depends, but to go further in this question, even if you enter the United States with a visa, by the time you're ready to file the I-130, sounds like it, you may have already overstayed your visa. And so that's a critical thing. I'm sure there's some people that have filed the I-130 and still in valid status with the I-94. I have so much information to share. By the way, tangent here, but related. I-94 is not the same as the visa, the seal on your passport. And we just got that question by email earlier. It's not the same. Okay. Not the same at all. So if you overstayed your visa, doesn't matter what the visa is, if you overstayed it, okay, not a regular visa, then you need to know about the unlawful presence. That's what's going to happen. And if you have more than 300, if you have between 180 days and 365 days of unlawful presence, and then you leave the United States, even if you put one foot out to the other side of Niagara Falls, to Canada, that counts against you. Okay, then it's going to trigger that three-year bar. If you overstayed for more than 365 days, which is a lot of y'all, it's understandable. To the government is understandable to them. To some extent, they understand. They waive it automatically if you're married to a U.S. citizen. Okay, but again, you need to talk to Immigration Lawyer 101. This is just legal information. My state bar tells me I have to share to disclose that. If you want to get proper legal advice, you need to schedule a meeting with an attorney. Okay. Some law firms charge for the strategy session. We do it at no cost. Of course, within reason. If you got like 50 questions, like, look, y'all, I just have to call out this situation. Some of y'all find me on YouTube or TikTok, Instagram. If you want to know about questions about EB5, investor visa, you got to shell out some money here, okay? Just to be honest. And it's this amount. It's basically 500 if you're looking for an investor visa, okay, for EB5 specifically. But ultimately for EB5, most of the time we refer out to a colleague of ours that handle this every single day. We do not do EB5 every single day, okay? Just to be upfront for anyone else that's interested. We certainly appreciate you considering us for that, but refer out, okay? And and you still need to do your own due diligence when you receive a referral because it's just like a specialist and a doctor, right? Like I'm not gonna just assume that someone referred so that I genuinely trust. Like we get clients sign up with us, authorize us to help them from people who are former clients or from friends. Like I interned for a judge when I was in law school, and she just referred us someone. We always tell people still do your due diligence even when we're talking to them because we want to make sure we meet your expectations. Maybe your expectation is something else. Like read our Google reviews, ask us certain questions. Okay, it's very important because it's your legal status on the line. We definitely want to meet your expectations and try to exceed them. All right, I think I was on a little tangent. Sorry about that. Let me get to the next question. Epic boss, you just sent off your case to USCIS. How long before you get a response, or how do you track? Well, I mean, you can't track it right now. Well, I'm assuming you paid for the delivery fee, right? USPS or FedEx, whatnot, for the tracking number. But if you track it for the actual case, you just have to wait for the receipt notice. And usually that's 3 to 5 weeks after you had it delivered. Okay. By the way, the USCIS fees have increased April 1st. There was a lawsuit, didn't stop it, unfortunately. It was expected to happen because the last time it increased was, I think, 2014 or 2016. So time was coming for that to happen. Okay. I know some of y'all are frustrated about it. Yeah, it's just been a long time. And technically, every 2 years, Congress authorized USCIS to look at it at least or increase it every 2 years. So it's bound to happen. But it's still worth applying if you're eligible, right? That's what I'm saying. You got to make sure you're eligible. Okay, let me see here. Instagram, you all a bit shy on Instagram. The algorithm is a bit different on that one. Okay, let me go to YouTube. Let's see. Um, let's see. Logan on YouTube, you filed an I-130 at 45 through marriage, June 2022 from NYC, but you went to an office in Kansas. Still no green card. What do you mean you went to an office? An attorney office? That should have no relevance where your attorney's office was. Still no green card interview. Is it no? Oh, maybe you meant the case itself went to Kansas. No, that's a little bit strange. If it's so if it went to a different office, like completely different state, even it could be because that office may not have as many applications. That makes sense. Compare New York City to Kansas, but they may waive your interview because I would hope that if someone gets an interview, I mean, gets a case reviewed by a different office, let's say Kansas in your situation, Logan, that it doesn't actually require you to go to interview in Kansas. So it's a good indication. We've had several that we get an email or some kind of notification that the case is in Brownsville, but every time that's happened, when the case is in a different somewhere else in Texas, it actually ends up being interview waived, which is great. So hopefully that happens for you, Logan. Okay, June 2022. That's nuts, though. That's a long time. And I know it's weird because some of y'all may have heard of people, your friends got approved last year, and they filed last year, so it's much shorter time frame. But we do have a couple from 2022 that just got approved about a couple months ago. So it's almost like they're backtracking. Most recent in, it'll be first out, as I guess is their mentality for some reason. All right, let me switch to the other platform here. Let's see here. What's going on? By the way, y'all don't have to, especially on TikTok. I don't know why, but y'all on TikTok tend to copy and paste the answer. You don't have to. I'm really just trying to go in order here. Try not to skip anyone. Okay, so after Epic Blast was user 28. Okay, so I guess your attorney guaranteed your husband will get a work visa since you've gotten married even with deportation. Ooh, 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 ooh. Okay, is that true? Depends. Okay, um, it depends because deportation I associate when someone says deportation, meaning you had a court case, okay, or he had a court case. And if you have a court case, in some scenarios, you can apply for stay of removal after the court was completed. Okay, but we always prefer to send in that new application stay of removal. Stay of removal means like halt, even though it's temporarily halt the um, deportation. Okay, and when you file the application to ICE office, you can also apply for a work permit after. So I don't know your exact situation. So, but just generally speaking, I'm leaning to no. But again, I don't know his situation that well. Okay, that's a really good scenario. Definitely speak to another attorney if that's all you're. I mean, I would say that's all you're depending on. But of course, trying to get the work permit is important. Okay, Princess, TikTok, can a green card holder file for someone else? Absolutely, you can file for a spouse. You can, but the thing is, let me see if I can share my screen on Visa Bulletin. If you're a resident holder, boy, oh boy, it's a long wait time. So when this family preference case, which a resident holder filing for spouse is a family preference, it's a heck of a long wait time. Okay, let me share my screen. You're on TikTok, but if anyone's on a different platform and not on YouTube, you're welcome to go join us on YouTube because I do share my screen there, or I'm able to. I mean, okay. So here we go. Let me make this a little bigger for y'all. Okay, so it depends on family. But yeah, made that too big. Okay, there we go. So you can see here, you can, as a permanent resident, you file for your spouse. You can file for your child. Uh, Obviously, they don't status. Maybe it's like a step. I mean, it would be a step kid typically. Okay, if you have an unmarried son or daughter, okay, those are really the only three scenarios. Okay, if you're a resident, okay, so there's a lot to know about that. This is something that I happy to do a webinar about. If you're wondering like how do I apply for this, or not how to apply, if you're eligible, can you apply for someone else? Happy to do a webinar about it. Send us a DM about the topic you want as a webinar, and also just mention the word webinar. And well, my team is Maria is helping out to keep track of that. Okay. So it's April 4th. So we'll try to start our first one probably next week. So provide your email and we'll invite you to that. Oops. All right, there we go. All right. So, Princess, we recommend you apply to become a citizen in general as soon as you can. That will definitely shorten the time for our spouse. Abdullah, USCIS charged your credit card twice. Ooh, and sent a receipt notice for both. Can you get a refund or dispute? I don't know about that. You can try, but I don't know where you would call in. I mean, or I don't. I mean, there's Emma, the website chat, so you could try that to see if like you'd let them know the situation. Worth a try, worth calling, because I'm assuming it's at least $535 what you paid. That's interesting. Did they give you two different receipt notice? 'Cause that's wild. It would be essentially better if they, if anything, gave you two different receipt notice because it'd be harder, I think, for US just to refund if it's the same number. Jacqueline, what's up? What you laughing about? Let's see. Who's next? AS. I think I know what you're talking about. AS, your husband came with us entered asylum and you want to file for his green card. That's very nice of you. You're a US citizen. What is the process? I think is your question for AS. First is I-130. That's the only thing you can file now because he filed for asylum. He entered without a visa, presumably. Maybe I'm wrong on the facts. You got to share that. You can schedule a meeting, a session with our team so you can understand more about his situation. But if someone entered without a visa, typically step number one is to apply for a petition. Okay. Um, and plus, even if he entered with a visa, you are a resident holder. So we would not recommend filing 485 because you're going to get denied. You may get an RFE asking your husband, what proof do you have that you've maintained your non-immigrant status? Which I'm presuming he doesn't have any. Filing for asylum and have a pending asylum does not mean that you have some kind of quasi status. Some people get a little confused, and it's okay. That's why I'm here. Happy to share information and let y'all know. All right, so be aware of that. You want to avoid that immigration problem. Sometimes avoiding immigration problem means you're saving some money. So if you appreciate this kind of information, subscribe, follow on your respective channel. We greatly appreciate it. All right, Naja. Sorry, I'm really bad at pronouncing some names. Chelsea Fan TV. I gotta check out your channel. You said, hi, John, you filed a marriage-based application since May 2022. Yikes. That is coming up almost 2 years for you. You had RFE, a medical exam from National Benefit Center. You're 45 online, updated to actively being reviewed since February. Does this mean interview waived? All those facts there does not mean an interview waived, but the fact that they sent you RFE for medical is a good thing in terms of interview waived. So yes, most likely on that. Now, in terms of when a status showing online, actively being reviewed online, that itself does not give any indication that your case is going to have an interview waived. Okay, so just want to explain that difference there because I know a lot of y'all online here on the live show on a respective platform. A lot of y'all may have seen the status online saying actively being reviewed. So don't want you to misunderstand that. Okay. Hey, Sudeep. No worries. I'm not intending to skip you, but I see your question. It's been 2 years now that since your I-130 spouse active review also. Petitioner is a green card holder. I guess you're the beneficiary. How long is it going to take? Well, I don't know based on that fact, but it sounds like you need to file a lawsuit. Okay, where is your case located? That could give us some indication. All right. If it's at a service center, then generally 12 months. It shouldn't 12 to 24 months. But here's the deal, folks. Okay, Nepal. Oh well, Nepal's where you're from. I mean, where is your case located? Your Nebraska Service Center. Well, let's check that out. Let us check that out on the USCIS processing website. What's up, y'all? I'm gonna still continue answering questions on all the platforms, so don't worry. Stay tuned. Of course, if you gotta drop off, thanks for tuning in. But stay tuned. I'm still gonna be on for at least another 14 minutes. Okay, Sudeep, you said I-130. And if you're just new to a channel, welcome. I do go live. I try to go live Monday through Friday, and sometimes in the evening. Don't tell my family. I try to sneak out of the bedroom. Okay, you're a sponsor. If you go through something similar, let me know in the comments. But Sudeep's in Nebraska. Their case. Well. There's a glitch on the website. Okay. When this happens, there's like a little, it's like when you go to word processing document and they have these funky like Latin or symbols. That's what's happening here. If you're not on YouTube, Facebook seeing this. Yeah, it's ridiculous. Let me click get processing time again. Oh, it's working now. Thank goodness. Okay, it's at 80% of cases they say completed within 25 months. That's ridiculous. But you might wonder, why is that the case? Okay. Why does it need to take that long? It doesn't need to take long at all. Okay. I don't understand why they do that. I mean, I have an idea. Okay. It's because the visa bulletin for F2A shows on the final chart here. Let me share my screen again. Okay, let's see here. There we go. They're working for F2A. They're working on case prior date September 2020. September 2020. It's ridiculous. So Sudeep, if you're talking about 2 years ago for you, looks like you got about 2 more years, hypothetically. Okay, this does change from month to month. Department of State does publish this every month. Do they publish it faster? Like they're going to speed it up? It's very slow, very, very slow. I mean, even for like something like F4, these files for a sibling for Mexico, and we're on cases from October 2000. That is freaking ridiculous. So what am I trying to say? What is the solution here? Okay, Sudeep, I'm assuming your spouse, Sudeep, is the one, or Sudeep is the one who's a resident. When he or she is eligible to become a citizen, I really recommend that he or she does that to apply to become a citizen, okay? Because that will speed it up. You feel bad? Well, that's not your fault, okay? That is not your fault at all. It's just the way the US government works, unfortunately. The world superpower is freaking slow on immigration on purpose, okay? They're slow on purpose. Don't get things messed up, okay? Don't think when USCIS emails you back an inquiry, when you submit inquiry, we're undergoing review. We're doing background check. This is I want to say this is bizarre. This is expected, unfortunately. We, at least attorneys, immigration attorneys, we expect it. And we let clients know this is what to expect if your case is delayed. So in some scenarios, okay, like Sudeep, you may want to consider a lawsuit. Okay. But your situation, Sudeep, it may not matter to file a lawsuit, okay? For you, for your F2A, because the prior date shows September 2020. Because even when you get approved for petition, it doesn't matter. Because, and that's probably what USCIS is thinking, because you can't move forward for an interview if you're abroad. If you're outside US, you can't, or even if you were in the US, which that would definitely be a reason your spouse needs to become a citizen. Okay. I've got so much information to share with y'all. I'm going like left and right. I apologize. Um, there's a lot of immigration problems out there, but y'all asked a question, so I'm gonna move on to the next question. Okay. Number one on TikTok asks, "How do you get your name on the lease with her when you don't have SSN?" Okay, so is it critical to have a lease? Um, you're welcome, Sudeep. I would say it's important, but try to find an apartment. That's the thing. Y'all might find like the perfect place to live. It's the right price. It's the right location for you. But try to find one to where they would add you at least as an occupant. They might not add you on the first line, like with your spouse's name, but maybe they'll add you as an occupant. So try that first before you move. Or if you haven't moved yet, try to ask the management company, the apartment complex, if they could do that. And I wouldn't say don't take no for an answer, but just say pretty please, because it would help your application. Okay. Um, or even if the worst case scenario, if they don't not able to add you even as an applicant or on the top line, then maybe see if you can have it coming out of your joint bank account. Okay. Because your name's on the account, and hopefully on a line item in your statement will show like whatever apartment complex or something. Sometimes when there's an apartment complex, it may not say it specifically because I'm sure they use like certain platforms for the property management. Okay, so it's just something to consider. So you might want to highlight it, is what I'm trying to say. Again, so much good info to share with y'all. So if y'all appreciate this, I think I'm a little bit different than other immigration attorneys online. So welcome to follow my channel so you get notified of the next time I'm on a live show. I really try to go Monday to Friday, but sometimes I got court or have to work on cases, work on a deadline, which I'm sure clients will appreciate that. All right, so on to here. Where are we located? Pink Me Perp. We're in Houston, Texas. You think you know me or our paths have crossed? Well, send me a DM. Happy to chat. All right. And Maria will let me know. All right, let me go. Okay, next question here. Nadia on TikTok. What does it mean when USCIS responds saying you have no outstanding documents at this time? I don't recall that from our own clients, but what do you mean they respond? Like they sent you an email after you submit inquiry? They could say that, meaning there's nothing that you need to give them, if that's what I think they're saying. Basically, I think they could be saying, chill out. We're working on your cases, your case, your application. Nothing else to give us right now, which could be a good thing because that means they're not going to send a RFE. Maybe not. Okay, that's not a guarantee because maybe a different officer will look at it 2 months later and say, "Oh, we need an RFE." So hopefully, that gives you a little bit better idea. Okay. Um, Alina, RX, you're in admin processing. What is the trend now for waiting time in admin processing? It's so hard to say because some people, I guess, quote unquote, luck out, and they've only been admin processing for about like 2 months. They provide everything the embassy or the consulate asked for, but in many other people's scenarios, it seems to be average 6 months to a year if they're going to wait that long, and it's ridiculous. I've some of my colleagues and I, we share information, right, to get a trend, understand the trend, and try to fight back more. There's an affidavit that was shared um, from a lawsuit, and the affidavit basically mentioned that it's whoever handles the background check, the supervisor, stated that the background check is conducted by a subcontracted company. What does that mean? If you're new to the United States, more or less like new, like you may not know everything or as much information about how the US government works. The US government, regardless of agency, loves to subcontract out. Okay. What does that actually mean? It means an agency like USCIS or State Department, they don't hold accountable the subcontracted company. Maybe they do, but it doesn't seem like it. What I think is going on, what the US government does on the flip side is that you can't give them a hard time, right? We try to as best as we can, and we want to change the trend, right? Attorneys like myself, other attorneys like myself in our network of we call federal litigation, we want to change the trend. Okay. We want to change the trend on how the US government handles these kind of cases, um, because otherwise you're going to get stuck forever. I mean, it's indefinite until they update you, right? So I know it's painful for y'all. It's very difficult. Um, Alrighty, let's see here. I think I can answer one more question that I got to meet with one of my team members here. Thank you so much for your question. I really apologize. It's very difficult to answer all of them. Really, really appreciate your question. Thank you so much for your trust. But if you don't mind, if I don't get to your question, please DM us or email us if you have the question already, or join us on the next live show, which today's Thursday. I should be able to get on live tomorrow. I got my kids' field day in the morning, but I should be able to get live tomorrow, 12 o'clock. David Rose. Okay, I think I can answer two. David Rose, you took your citizenship interview last month. Congrats on that. You passed, and you still haven't received the oath ceremony. I would think you're going to get it soon because it might be slower than other people, depending where you live, because depends where they schedule the interview at. I mean, not interview, the oath ceremony. So if you check mark that you want to change your name, those tend to be at a federal court, and they tend to be only like 2 or 3 a year. So that could be one reason it's delayed. Otherwise, if you didn't change your name, any first or last name, middle name, then then it just maybe just trying to figure out their schedule. But just 1 month, I would say that's okay. Okay, let's see here. Someone asked about psych eval, Eli Dragon Archer on TikTok. Are psych evals really helpful? How much can you expect to pay? I think it depends on your area. Like, I don't know what state you live in, right? East Coast, West Coast is going to be more expensive in general with anything. Man, I'm even trying to get my, I was going to say toilet. I'm trying to get my garbage disposal under the sink fixed. I don't, in my head, I'm like, I want to fix it, but I don't have time. I got to help y'all in your best interest for your cases, right? But generally, again, I don't know what kind of case you have either, but generally speaking, if maybe someone, an attorney told you about it, then it's usually very helpful. Waiver case, VAWA, those are top two cases where we recommend it. Okay. AO on YouTube, you're moving to another state while 751's been pending for almost 2 years. Is it advisable to move? I think that's what you're asking. Yeah, I mean, you can move. Just update your address on USCIS online. You can do that. And forward your address with USPS. I think you pay $1 or something. That's not going to last forever. I think that's only for good for 2 months or so. But you do those two things if you're moving. Your case is still pending. Reggie on YouTube, can a foreigner come to U.S. on a fiancé visa and having a criminal record in the home country? It's possible, but depends what the crime is. Depends on the crime. All right, folks, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. I cannot be late to the next meeting. So y'all have a good one and have a good day. Y'all know what to do. Follow for more. Take care. See you tomorrow. Bye. Peace.